It was decided almost immediately. Those who were there agree on that much. 10 men entered the space with credentials, confidence, and the expectation that numbers would settle the matter. 20 seconds later, no one was arguing anymore. There was no prolonged exchange, no visible struggle that matched the scale of the challenge. Only a brief sequence of movements that ended the question before. The room was not designed for legend. It was practical, familiar to those who trained seriously, and unremarkable to anyone else. The floor bore the marks of repeated use. The walls were close enough to keep attention contained. Nothing in the environment suggested that an event of consequence was about to occur. That was precisely why it mattered. People gathered there because skill was tested quietly in such places. Not for display, not for validation, but to resolve questions that lingered when reputations crossed paths. The men in the room understood this. Many had trained for years. Some held formal ranks. Others carried informal authority earned through experience rather than titles. All of them recognized the unspoken function of the space. Hierarchy existed without announcement. It showed itself in where people stood, in who spoke freely and who listened. Respect moved subtly, guided by shared history. In this environment, reputation did not need to be defended loudly. It was either reinforced through action or allowed to stand unchallenged. When a challenge appeared, it was rarely dramatic. It emerged naturally, almost inevitably, when certainty met curiosity. That day, attention settled early. The arrival of the group altered the room's balance. 10 men, each trained, each accustomed to being recognized for skill, brought with them a collective gravity. Their presence was not aggressive. It was assured. They stood comfortably, occupying space without needing to claim it. Credentials were assumed to be known or, at the very least, unquestioned. Numbers changed the atmosphere, not because they suggested violence, but because they implied consensus. 10 trained men rarely doubted themselves when aligned. Their confidence was not individual bravado. It was structural. Shared experience had reinforced the belief that skill multiplied when combined. Bruce Lee was already there. He did not reposition himself when they arrived. He did not adjust posture to acknowledge the shift in the room. To observers, he appeared unaffected, not dismissive, but unconcerned. He remained where he was, relaxed, attentive, and quiet. Those who knew him noticed this immediately. Those who did not overlooked it. His reputation at that point traveled unevenly. Some in the room were aware of his training, his methods, his refusal to conform strictly to tradition. Others had heard fragments, comments about speed, about efficiency, but had not seen enough to weigh those claims properly. He was known, but not unanimously accepted. That distinction mattered. In rooms like this, partial reputation invites testing. It does not provoke hostility, but it creates opportunity. Questions form without words. Could the stories be trusted? Would theory? The assumption formed without discussion. It did not need agreement because it felt obvious. 10 trained men, each with rank, experience, and the reinforcement of one another's presence, represented certainty. Not dominance in the theatrical sense, but inevitability. Numbers have a way of simplifying outcomes in the mind, especially when each number carries credibility. None of the men behaved arrogantly. There was no laughter, no mockery, no attempt to provoke a reaction. Their confidence was quieter than that. It showed in the way they stood without tension, in the way they spoke among themselves without lowering their voices. They were not preparing for a fight as much as they were preparing for confirmation. Collective authority changes how responsibility is felt. No single man needed to prove himself. The weight was distributed. If one moved, another would follow. If one adjusted, the others would respond. This shared structure removed hesitation. It also removed the need for aggression. They believed the outcome would arrive naturally. Bruce Lee did not step away from this alignment. He did not position himself defensively. He remained open, his posture neutral, his hands relaxed. To some observers, this looked like confidence. To others, it appeared impractical. Facing one opponent demanded clarity. Facing many, it was assumed demanded concession. He offered none. What stood out was not defiance, but absence of acknowledgement. He did not count them. He did not track them individually with his eyes. His attention remained general, as if the number itself was not the defining factor. This unsettled a few in the group, though none spoke of it openly. The assumption deepened. 10 against 1 did not feel like cruelty or excess. It felt educational. It suggested that whatever uncertainty surrounded Bruce Lee's reputation would be resolved quickly and without harm. The expectation was not that he would be overwhelmed violently, but that he would be contained, redirected, corrected. That belief shaped behavior. The men did not crowd him. They did not close in. They allowed space, confident that space would not be an advantage. Their discipline reinforced their certainty. They trusted structure. They trusted method. They trusted that collective skill reduced unpredictability. What followed was not immediate. The expected escalation did not arrive on schedule. Instead, time stretched in a way that made the room aware of itself. 10 trained men stood ready, yet nothing compelled them forward. Their confidence had always assumed response, either resistance or retreat. What they encountered instead was neutrality. Bruce Lee did not retreat. He did not advance. He did not signal readiness through tension. His posture remained light, adaptable, and quiet. Those closest noticed that his weight shifted subtly, not to prepare an attack, but to remain uncommitted. He was not anchoring himself to a position. He was leaving options open. Pressure began to build without anyone applying it deliberately. Public challenges often rely on reaction. A glance, a tightening of the jaw, a subtle provocation. Any of these can trigger movement. None appeared. Bruce Lee's expression did not change. His eyes were alert, but not fixed. He was not selecting targets. He was observing relationships, distance, alignment, overlap. The group sensed this delay. Collective confidence is strongest when it moves. When it pauses, it begins to fragment into individual awareness. One man adjusted his stance slightly. Another shifted his feet. Small movements, barely noticeable but no longer synchronized. The shared rhythm loosened. Still, no one advanced. The tension in the room did not come from threat. Came from uncertainty. The challengers were prepared for resistance, not for absence of engagement. The longer the stillness lasted, the more attention it demanded. Observers leaned forward. Conversations stopped entirely. Even breathing seemed to quiet. Bruce Lee remained composed within this compression of attention. He did not exploit the pause to assert dominance. He allowed it to exist. In doing so, he controlled it. The pressure that usually accompanies confrontation was redirected inward, settling on those waiting for something to happen. A few in the room began to sense that the dynamic had already shifted. Not dramatically, not visibly, but structurally. The group was no longer shaping the moment. They were responding to it. The assumption of inevitability. When the first movement came, it did not announce itself as the beginning of anything. There was no surge forward, no sudden clash that divided before and after. Several witnesses later said they almost missed the moment when the situation changed. It looked at first like an adjustment. Someone stepping slightly out of alignment, someone else compensating. Bruce Lee moved only as much as the situation required. Not toward a person, but into a gap. The space between two men narrowed for an instant, and he occupied it before it could close. His action did not resemble an attack. It resembled correction. What followed unfolded in fragments rather than a sequence. A brief contact, a redirection of balance, a body responding before the mind understood why. There was no attempt to engage all 10 men. There was no need. The structure they relied on, spacing, mutual coverage, shared rhythm, was disrupted at its center. One man was no longer aligned. Another was forced to adjust. A third hesitated, unsure whether to move or hold position. Bruce Lee did not press forward. He stepped out of the collapsing structure as cleanly as he had entered it. The movement was finished before it invited response. What remained was confusion, not pain. The challengers were still standing, still capable, but no longer coordinated. Their confidence, built on unity, had lost its anchor. The entire sequence lasted no more than 20 seconds. Some counted less. There was no visible struggle to point at afterward. No single moment that could be replayed and analyzed easily. Witnesses spoke instead about the effect, the way the group seemed to dissolve without confrontation, how the expectation of escalation never arrived, how resolution came without excess. Bruce Lee returned to stillness almost immediately. The room did not erupt. No one raised a voice. No one moved forward to intervene or clarify. The absence of reaction was itself the response. What had taken place did not invite argument, because there was no clear point of contention. The challengers were still on their feet. No one appeared injured, yet the structure that had supported their confidence no longer existed. The story did not spread immediately. There was no urgency to tell it, no impulse to dramatize what had happened. Those who were present found it difficult to describe without sounding imprecise. The absence of spectacle made language unreliable. What had occurred resisted clean retelling. Instead, the incident traveled slowly. It surfaced in training halls, in quiet conversations between instructors, in moments when someone questioned whether rank alone could settle uncertainty. Often it was mentioned indirectly. Someone would say they had been in a room once or knew